Ask you to begin this meeting for the pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. The legal voters of the Weathersfield School District are hereby notified and warned to meet in person at Weathersfield School on 35 Schoolhouse Road, 17, Vermont, or will be on Tuesday, April 7th, 2026, at 6 o'clock p.m. to transact any business not involving voting by Australian ballot or any voting required by law to be by ballot. Such meeting so started shall be adjourned to Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. The April 7th meeting shall include the public informational meeting on the articles to be voted by Australian ballot. The legal voters of the Weathersfield School District are currently notified and warned to meet at Martin Memorial Hall, US Route 5 at 71, on Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. To act on any business involving voting by Australian ballot or any voting required by law to be taken. Polls open at 8 o'clock p.m. and close at 7 o'clock p.m. Article 1. Shall the voters of the Weathersfield School District School Board to extend $9,807,090, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. Weathersfield School District estimates that this proposed budget, if approved, will result in per pupil educational spending of $17,267.60, which is 9.99% higher than per pupil education spending for the current year. You can invite discussion of Article 1. First of all, on what the little Brian Marquez is.
That has to be turned off.
Okay. Yeah, there's one bit of this that in such a meeting, we typically do not allow folks from out of town, non-residents of the town to speak. However, our superintendent, Christy Moore, our business manager, are very down with meeting call on the night. And so, in anticipation of that, without objection, we would allow them to speak. If there's anyone else here who is not a resident of Weathersfield and Tennessee, would you please identify yourself? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you everyone for coming tonight. We're going to go ahead and go over some of the important facts. A lot of you were here for our informational meeting in March or in February, but we'll go ahead and review some of that today and talk a little bit about the school. All right. So our proposed budget, like what I said, is $9,807,090, which that covers about 350 students, which includes our students that are in high schools. So we've got 245 here, and then we have 105 high schools, roughly 105 high school students starting next year for 4 years. All right, so it's always important to set goals to make sure that we are trying to reach and meet those goals. So our first goal is to enhance student success, improve communication with families, and then foster positive school culture and wellness. So By enhancing student engagement and success, our teachers, our support staff are always diligently working in the classrooms to make sure that they are keeping our students up to date on what they need to learn. We're always looking for new and innovative ways for them to be able to teach the kids and to keep the students engaged in the learning process. We've been working on making sure we have better communication with everybody. So we do a weekly newsletter that goes out virtually to all families. We have this wonderful digital display board that's in front of the school that keeps information out there. So as you drive by, even if you're driving by down the 5 and going towards whether you can't help but get a glimpse of it as you go by. We give that information, plus we also broadcast on social media and share information around our town. Make sure that everyone feels as connected to this hub of our community as they possibly can. And then making sure we foster that positive school culture as well as making sure that we're meeting the social emotional needs of all of our students, that they are feeling successful both academically and socially, and making sure they're getting the care that they need each and every day, and make sure they have that sense of belonging to our school and to our school community. So here's some ways that we're meeting student and family needs. So we have individualized education plans. So for students that need special, personalized plans to be able to meet their academic needs. We offer free healthy meals, breakfast and lunch for our students, plus they get snacks. We have the opportunity for students to take advanced math courses so that they can start off at the next level in high school, so they can take algebra here, geometry, or we even have some students that take geometry as 8th graders and then start off with algebra 2 as freshmen. We have tons of engaging activities that bring families together. We just recently did our camp read a lot, which was an opportunity for students to enjoy the love of reading in a natural Vermont-like atmosphere and have that joy of being outside or being inside. So they did a phenomenal job with that. Our PTO is amazing. It does lots and lots of things, which you'll hear about later, very importantly, of the stuff that they do for our school to make it a better place for our students and our families. And then we also have nature-based learning, which is some hands-on outdoor learning opportunities for students with 4 winds. And then our kindergartners go out into the woods and explore. Never been an opportunity like that before until I got here to Vermont to see kids going out to the woods to learn. So pretty awesome ways that we're meeting some of the ways just to meeting students and family needs. All right, some of the school activities that we do. So we started a few years ago about doing a welcome back kickoff right before school starts. So it's usually when school starts on a Wednesday. It's the Monday night before school. So it gives a really lot of anxiety both for the students, the parents, and the teachers. So they get the opportunity to meet their students. It's a fun atmosphere where they get to come in and see the classroom. And then we do have lots of, like, not lots, we have less, when we use the word less, not lots, sorry. We have less crying on the first day of school, both from the students, the parents, and the teachers. So they make sure that it just makes it a smooth transition. We've been able to build an amazing sports program here that we have not only that we offer for our students, but that we also receive, or we have a group of family members that do the Booster Club to help support athletics. And we're able to offer athletics for all of our students in kindergarten through 8, which is pretty unique. We have monthly assemblies where we celebrate our students and our pride assemblies, and recognize students that are their persevering, being respectful, showing integrity, determination, and empathy. And so it's important to recognize the students, and that ends up being a community event where families come out and they sit right here in the gym and they're watching kids. I see the parents there smiling when they do there with it, and it's really amazing to hear all those wonderful things about your own child in front of an audience. And it's just a feel good opportunity. We do passports for winter activities, trying to keep kids active during the winter time. Because I just realized that Vermont's cold in the winter time, and you might not want to go outside all the time. So we're trying to do ways to keep kids active, whether it's outdoor sports, whether it's just doing things inside, but having kids be able to stay active so that they are physically and mentally stable throughout the winter time. But the winters in Vermont can be long, as we have snow today in April. All right, we also have a makerspace that we developed a few years ago through a grant from our Hicks Nichols, which is an awesome opportunity for students to have hands-on learning. So we have our librarian, who's also our makerspace teacher. So she does mold, so it's a new way of doing it in mold training. They still get the library, they get the lessons, but they have hands-on activities where students get the opportunity to build and discover things and explore throughout the day. One of our favorite things that we do is a community Thanksgiving dinner that we have usually the Wednesday, like 2 Wednesdays, like well, not the Wednesday right before Thanksgiving, the Wednesday before that. Where we have the community come in, and our kitchen staff does an amazing job with lunch for the family. It was a great time as a community here at Weathersfield to be able to bring bread together and be able to do that together with our community and our students and our families. It's just, you haven't been able to come, I invite all of you to come in November and experience it with us. And then I'm going to go into a plug for our drama production. It just happens to be that we're doing our drama production starting this Friday, 7 o'clock, Saturday, 2 o'clock, right here in this room. I got a little mini preview that lit about how well it's going. Mrs. Young Lady, who's the director, likes to keep it a surprise for everybody, but they're doing All Shook Up, which is basically Elvis. Sorry, you can guess that by Elvis music. And what I really like today is that one of the songs I heard, which is an Elvis-inspired song, was happened to be the song that my wife walked down the aisle to. So it made my heart go pitter-patter today. So that's pretty awesome. And then we also, so that's coming up on Friday and Saturday, so don't miss it. It's a great opportunity to see some wonderful theater here at school. And then we have our student art projects. We have an amazing art teacher that as you walk down to the gym to come to this meeting this evening, you got to see just a little bit of our artwork, but we'll have a big art gallery on May the 22nd, which is our student leadership day as well. Obviously, as soon as I get the mic, I like to talk. All right. So this is our sources of our funding for our school. So we have two major sources for funding. We have local taxes that meet up about 64% of our funding for the school. And then we get money from the Vermont Education Fund, which is about 34%. So 65 and 34%. And then we get a little trickling of money, the last 1% comes through some athletic funding that we get through athletic dues, plus a little bit from the feds. All right, so here's an overview of our proposed budget. And it looks, sorry, it wasn't meant to be small up there, but I'm being squint to my recognize it. But our budget at a glance is $9,807,090. Our weighted pupils of 574.42. So that means that each student has a value. All students are valued, but some students, depending on their status, have more value. So that we get some more funding for them. And then our cost per weighted pupil is $17,268. So that serves about 350 students. There's about 234 here, plus then our high school students as well, and 27 in private and public pre-K programs. And so there, you can see on the left that our Weathersfield local budget is obviously the top one, which is a little over $4.25 million. Our high school tuition is looking a little over $2.5 million. Special education is right under about 1.8. SU admin and operations is just under $1 million. Early childhood is about 200, and then SU food service is about 150. So that makes up our entire budget. Okay. All right. See, once I get the mic, I want to take it away. All right. So contract and salary increase. So the blue line at the top is last year's budget. The red line is this year's budget. Please scroll to the top of the. Oh no. This. Oh. So last year, contract and salaries were about $2.2 million. This year, they're about 2.4, so it's an increase of about 200,000. These are our major drivers for our budget increase, okay? And then benefits increased from 9.4 to about 1 million, a little over 9, so about $80,000 roughly. High school tuition, 2.35 to 2.58, so a little over 200,000. And then special education, 1.43 to 1.84. That was a big jump right there. So those are the items that help increase our budget to where we got now. Any questions on those? Oh, sorry. Let me finish my presentation, then Sean will ask questions. All right. Mike over to Sarah Steele, who's our school board chair.
Okay, so our projected tax rate, the current tax rate is 1.9807, and the new tax rate for FY 27 would be $2.12, with a rate increase of 7.5. The annual tax increase for a $100,000 home would be $149, and of course excludes any income sensitivity.
I've got one more part to.
All right, that pretty much concludes our presentation to the modified version of it. But one of the things that I wanted to share with you is that what an impact our school has on present and past students. So I've had my two kids got the privilege of going through here now. They're a junior and sophomore at high school, and they're doing fantastic. I thought today she's doing 10%, but she had an opportunity for an internship at Dartmouth, so she interviewed for that as a sophomore. So she has an opportunity to obtain an internship. So I'm so proud of her today that I got to do that. And then my son was last night at his board because he's student rep for his board where he goes to high school at as well. So my two students that came through here had that opportunity of a small school, which is pretty awesome and pretty unique to Vermont. Because when we were in California, we were at a K-8 school similar to this, but it was about 6 times the size population-wise. So I left there and had 1,200 students, and right now it's got about 1,400. So maybe 500 the size, but still. So this is from a student that reached out, and they wanted to share their impact that Weathersfield School had on them. At Weathersfield School laid the essential groundwork for the discipline and character I needed to reach my goal of being appointed to the United States Air Force Academy. After receiving nominations from all 3 Vermont members of Congress in 2023, I left my small community of Weathersfield in June of 2024 to join the class of 2028 at the Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado. In the close-knit environment of Weathersfield School, I couldn't dissipate into that. I was held to high standards and was challenged to push myself beyond my comfort zone, both inside and outside of the classroom. Weathersfield School offered me many opportunities to develop my communication skills to foster a sense of teamwork through activities such as small group work, being on the geography team, being on stage in plays and musicals from kindergarten to eighth grade, and then returning to being an assistant director in the drama club while attending Woodstock High School. In my earlier years, Weathersfield School was my home away from home, where everyone knew everyone else, where the teachers and staff supported all students in ways they needed to be successful, and where my dreams for my future were born. Ultimately, the small school upbringing in Weathersfield instilled a sense of community and service in me, which surely sparked my aspirations to serve my country today. Inspector of school. Have some kids.
Brian, Sarah. The first step in Article 1, which is decrease on state in it.
I turned my mic on. Yeah.
You turn it on, just.
Yep.
I never have it.
So, as I am a social media person, I found that on social media, especially since the budgets are there, thinking before the budget's there. To the school. And it's just really, I mean, even though I don't still support the school and the children in the school. But many questions now seem to be because the answer is the reason the budget's so high is because of the supervisor union and what we're forced to pay as part of their budget process. So I've seen a lot of people question how in that process. I know that, so I know they have a board. We have 3 representatives on that board. Other schools have representatives on the board. My understanding after the representatives voted in favor of that initiative. So, I mean, our committees that voted in favor of that budget must have known the trickle effect that's going on the state. So, just like an explanation as to why 3 members on the Weathersfield School Board would vote in favor of that budget. And also, the second question is, how can we and others on social media get more involved and have more input and follow along through that supervisor reading budget a little bit better, so it's not such a sticker shock.
Their members board.
There are 3 of us that could
All right, let you guys decide who's going to answer that.
As I have been on the SU board 2 years, and I also was on the budget committee for the SU budget for 2 years. And a lot of the same cost drivers, special education is a huge one, and it's services that we have to provide. So that budget is huge at the SU level, and I mean, there's the way it's built. When we started in September, meeting, the budget committee started in September. It's a process. It's an open meeting. You can view the minutes. You can attend it if you want. So basically, Larry and the budget committee build the budget, and just correct me, Larry, when it was presented to the whole SU board. October? As early as October, November. I know we in Weathersfield have pushed for this for the last few years to, start that process much earlier in the season so that we are not, up against, deadlines at the end. So Larry is, working with us as early as September to get this budget out and build it so that it's voted on about 2 months earlier than it was being before. So one of the parts of that also is the live budget book, that was created a couple of years ago. So that basically the communities can see, the budget as early as that. So as he gets numbers in from the state, basically he is updating that live, all the time. So again, the transparency, was one thing that this board pushed for, the last 3 years, since I've been on the board. And basically just to get those numbers out so that we are educating our communities about the cost of education in our state. And we are not any different than any other town, with all of the tax costs that we have. Trying to think if I'm answering some of your questions about ASU. So basically, it's worked through, we presented it to the SU board as a whole. Teacher contracts was one of the other things that was part of this new budget, which there's a committee for that. So those costs were negotiated. So that's part of the new budget this year. Am I forgetting anything? Benefits. Yeah, the benefits, the constant driver of the health insurance costs for our employees. Again, that's a number that's basically handed from the state, so we have to factor that in. And this year, the percentage, I have it written down. So 7.9% increase alone in the healthcare cost. So again, that was part of it. So there's a lot of numbers that, he plugs into the budget that again are set in stone. They're nothing for us to even kind of negotiate because they're numbers that are basically. You want to answer? Like you're.
So I,
On the, SU budget, because I felt like it was a fair budget. They have things that they need to pay for the same way we do here that aren't negotiable. There are some negotiable things in their budget, but most of it, the vast majority of it is, either state or federally mandated. So all of that, and as far as the teacher salary and the staff salary go, we're competing with other schools and have to keep a salary range to attract good teachers. We don't want a lot of parent teachers applying, and everyone else teachers applying. So, we have to offer a living wage to them. So that's why I voted yes.
Second in March, responsible by it. Nobody's talking the numbers, setting the increase. Maybe adjustments in it. And it's pointed out on the slide, the very then this building, A to A. This budget is completed. Any additional costs will come out of this building. We already got one teaching position and one half clerk position. We have to go leave for the big approval a couple weeks ago about for it. But if the budget goes down, we are this is we gotta get a lot of encourage you. Oh, yes, on this budget. And it's hard to practice, and that's the, so that's also.
I just want to say, this year, when we were building the SU budget, another, thing I just thought of was we just renewed a transportation contract, 5 year, contract. We opted to stay with our current bus company because the service has been impeccable and, obviously, buses are more, gas is more, so the new 5 year contract is going to be more than the contract 5 years ago. So that was another, cost driver was the new our transportation, and therefore that was, a higher increase, with that new contract. I just want to remind the community that, we are part of an SU, but we pay a portion, based on our student numbers. But we have some big, costs that are taken care of by the SU. Transportation is one of them. So all of our transportation is through SU. All of our food services, again, extreme in numbers, like food services serve all of our SU. So you're talking, buying power of food. So we here at Weathersfield don't have to worry about that. We have the food taken care of by the first, our job is essentially. Obviously, special education is a huge driver. Again, we have a large special education budget, but we also serve many schools. And that cost is not for how many children are getting served here at Weathersfield, but we do pay a piece of the puzzle. But that's also state mandated, federally mandated that we offer these services and the children need them. So, again, that is all run by the SU and it trickles down to our school and what our needs are here. And then obviously admin, all the people that run everything, our payroll, like things that we don't take care of in house at home. So, am I missing anything? Yeah, tech support, curriculum, our curriculum, we have maintenance, yeah. I mean, most things are we are part of the SU, and so that piece of that pie that we pay to belong to SU also serves us well with how many, if we had to take over all of that, it would be way more than the piece of the pie that we pay. So I guess I've always want to reiterate how it works, and what services we are getting belonging to our SU. Any other?
Article 1, so
So I thought that sports, we are not cutting sports, sorry, Sophia Electric Technology. So I thought we were cutting funds out of sports, we weren't cutting sports fully, so that is still true, correct?
We are not cutting sports fully. One of the proposed cut is $15,000 from athletics, which had a budget of $51,960. So we're cutting $15,000 from that.
And did you guys review all the other cuts? What would be taken out of what, maybe if it happened, we have trouble getting into what's be.
No, we can, yeah. You can listen.
All right, so we did cut, so we made a total amount cut of $146,500. So we're we got $3,000 out of that. So we will figure out if we need something new, what we're gonna do again. Nursery supplies, we got $5,000 out of that. And the reason why we did that is we had a state mandate that we had to get the side of the building, get in more of them, make sure they're up to date so that we have life-saving measures in the school. We were able to get a grant to be able to fund those AEDs. So instead of having to put that money in there, we were able to take it back out from our savings to our taxpayers. And like Sarah mentioned, we had $15,000 out of that. Full-time teacher, FTE, wages and benefits, $190,856. That's a huge to our school and to our community because we're gonna have one less continuing student. We did try, from the office of the principal, we had a office staff person from a full-time to a 0.75. So that was 10,549, and then we did have some field trips because those are extra. So we went from $6,000 and we got $3,095 to bring us to a total of 146. Is
there further discussion of, so it has to be at the end of the line after everyone else goes. Sir? I'm just wondering what we have to use it here.
Yeah, I'm Aaron Rolanchon. I'm just wondering what will happen to the students like myself as part of the supervisory meeting if this bill does get cut off and we aren't presenting. Are students who need to go to no longer eligible to be? Will we still have school groups?
So nothing about this budget is affecting your school choice. We can't, we don't have that control at a local level, that's a state, yeah, I mean, it's a town road thing, but that's that's not part of this budget. We have school choice right now. Obviously, as you know, there's, reform going on in the state education, and we don't know what the future is of that, but that's nothing that is for this local town in control right now. So as of right now, no. Is that correct, Christine? Yeah.
I guess it's time on Harlow. Question on the subject. Which general, I would just say, is the category of the policy. Associated with places of students who are not this school and the other departments. It's simply this, because there is a backline for someone to sit and explain what an actual is. So to take that one.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, so that is an increase of a couple of things. So their cost increase, they're of course going to send it down to us as well. Plus we have to increase students. We have about 9 more students and about 25,000 roughly average. So that's what the major part of the increase is. We have a large 99 class.
Discussion, Article 1.
And Susan White, and I'm spending a lot of time at the state work on schools. The Weathersfield school is one of 2 new schools in the city. It was me starting the experience. And it's not in the United States school. School in the city. And we have to acknowledge that some of the profitable students here at the school are historically marginalized. Of the college, that means that we actually have a technical that is taking English language learners and those who receive conference, the foster kids, and those who are the city's. So, still doing small school,
teachers. So,
Further discussion, Article 1. Hearing none.
Can you go to round two? I didn't want to raise my hand until.
It's so good that, Lisa, reminded me to hear also. Lisa, Lisa, here.
Sophia, we have to stick together.
I have a question on transportation. When Sarah mentioned it was part of the issue, which was, getting to the so my own follow-up question, I don't need to be negative, but everybody's on budget. So my follow-up question on transportation is, how often does Weathersfield, how often does Weathersfield look at the number of students that are transported via bus versus the number of students that are going to and from school, privately? Because that's my question.
Who would you like to take that?
Probably Brian.
Thank you. So we do look at that on a regular basis. Lisa, on the number of kids running buses, including any that depend on the day, the weather, lots of particular items. We make it, we only have 3 buses instead of 4. And the amount of time the student would be on the bus would be students. So we're looking at that. So it's one of those things that when I get to the bus stop in California, when we have transportation, we go out to report several extra bus here to pick you up at your house. It's pretty awesome. So it makes it indicators to because there's surrounding districts that we don't cancel the bus. We have drivers, we have active drivers, we'll take it's a first there is some unnecessary cost to have here, but with our weather and with kids, the cold, we got some cold leaving, with kids really aware of the vehicle.
Just on the thing about transportation, so when that contract was being negotiated, we had 2 bus companies apply. 2, and we've always had to choose one. It was either the one that we currently use or other bus services, which is the one that's being used. Their quote did come in slightly lower, but we put it out to the community. I asked for a lot of community input. I got a lot of community input. The vast majority of people wanted to spend a little bit more money to have a reliable bus service. I think we've all seen posts on Facebook from parents in Springfield where they don't have bus transportation for their kids. And that disproportionately affects, poor children. Because if you're rich enough and your parents can drive you to school, it's not a big deal, your bus gets canceled. But if your parents have to work and school, you do not go to school that day. And we didn't want that for your kids.
One thing to keep in mind in Vermont, transportation is not required to be provided. To be coupled from the SU transportation, but I actually believe that it really surprises me the number of parents that and the ability to pick their kids up. I was here yesterday, chatting with one of the bus drivers, and it's possible about everything. What should you have? It's frankly, it's supposed to be very important, everything else, very important. So we made it to the show with the price of gas. More people taking the bus. I would urge you to take a bus, otherwise it's fine. And if it's up early enough to get a bus, so good as a choice, whatever reason, everybody has to do it. But, which may be the reason that I'm not a bus driver, because I got it in, like, figuring the kids up. So I had to wait before I could get out. So it was good conversation. The client, not required from our team.
Can I just add one comment? So I may have been one of those people on social media that said, do not go with Butler, so I was.
So I've heard enough bad about Butler, I probably chimed in on that post and suggested not going to. So my main question was, how often is it looked at to make sure that it's being looked at? And like, to John's point, a bus that holds 50, and if it's only half occupied, maybe y'all can convince the bus company to buy some buses that don't hold 50 kids, they only hold 30 kids, they'd be cheap to run, and they would be more.
Just off the top of it's not actually required, so I do not want kids for getting from their houses. One of my neighbors is a kid that comes here and he comes, the bus stops at the main road, he doesn't go down our, and he has to go out the rest of the way. So, and in terms of how many kids are on and off, you may have a fuller bus in the morning, but then with sports and everything else, kids might not be going, or they've got one day's of doing activities. At least that's what it was when my kids were growing up. I assume it's the same. So one question I have is, again, I don't have a kid here, but we talked about how you got the SG budget approved sooner, you got all these communication methods. Is there a way that you, like, how do I know where to go, where to look? I mean, I still look and I can get that information. So how do we try to get the community better informed so it's not a surprise when we finally actually go to look at the budget on town meeting day, which again, there's probably a equivalent amount of people that were here for town meeting day. So anyway, that's my big question is or a suggestion that we find better ways to communicate with the community.
Any further discussion on Article 1?
I was just gonna do the, like,
Please.
so I know, we're constantly brainstorming, that's been one of our goals as a board, at least for 3 years. Is constant community engagement, trying to get the community to engage with us, to help support our schools, let us know what you want. And that's one of the things that we've tried to do is have the board engaging with the community, putting the information out there. So I know the school community, like PJ and Ryan was putting in the newsletter, with the links to the live budget book. Christine has it at an SU level. It's on all of the websites. But I mean, that may be something that we look at is how do we get it to the rest of the townspeople that don't have children here? Other than you going to the website for the school or website for the Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union, that could be something that we look at, different avenues. So that's a good other than just like our town report, 2 days,
Well,
2 days before. Yeah.
Now that I know, we'll look at it.
Yes. Yeah, the information is out there. It's out there. Like I said, as early as fall, it's constantly being updated, with the numbers that they come, like from the state, or as different things come in. So it is out there. It's just a matter of, yes, making sure people know where it is.
So this is our webpage.
Okay, so we just say this is, our webpage. And there's lots of tabs, there's lots of tabs, there's more information, for the staff, there's for families, services, our calendars out there. You can click on the right side. Another thing that's useful, how you go back and do it, is to look at our school board meetings. Our minutes are on there, the videos are on there. And then right underneath it, you'll see the budget book. That's the budget book I'm talking about. That Larry Gower has created the last few years, and that is live and ever changing, with the correct numbers.
It goes to a different tab when I take that, so I can't show you that, sorry.
So, and then the SU website looks very similar, and it has all that information on it.
There is a hand raised.
Does that answer your questions for that?
Further discussion on Article 1, I believe there's a hand raised on mine.
Aunt Smithson.
Say,
Aunt Smithson.
Ann Smithson, you are recognized.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. This is Emmett McGowan. Ann Smithson is my name, translated into English.
Hang on.
Just a technical issue here for anybody who's listening online. The audio is pretty bad, and it almost sounds like it's better quality when you're not speaking onto a microphone. So, yeah, I don't know if that's going to help, but the audio from our end here online is pretty ropey. But I did notice, like I said, when somebody was speaking who wasn't on the microphone, it was definitely better quality from our end. So, BJ said something there briefly. It was much clearer. I think Lisa said something. She wasn't on microphone. It also sounded clearer. So it could be the microphone. Just a technical thing, if you can, because it's kind of awkward here to really keep up with what you're saying. So good luck with that. I'll keep listening anyway.
So everything goes through the owl.
Okay, well, you're clear. BJ, you're clear now because you're not on the microphone.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll leave it to you guys. Good luck.
Article 1, second, raised online.
No. No.
And then further, second, Article 1. I'm going to ask for a motion to move the stated.
So moved.
Or, wait a second.
I'll second it.
DJ. Although it's on that, it's still registered to vote on the day of the voting. Again, it's a mark on the board. 8 in the morning, until 7 the next Tuesday, April 14th. Not registered to vote, low end, once here, or you can register same day after the polls. There's no one in substitute. All those in favor, please say aye. We are.